Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to another crypto market update. My name is Brendan from Crypto 101, and in today's episode, we have a lot to talk about in regards to the crypto market because we are continuing on this theme of volatility week after week, and of course, the past week has been no exception. In fact, if anything, there has actually been an acceleration in the volatility over the last week. So, what I want to do here in today's episode is break down everything that has happened, catch everyone up to speed on what they need to know, not only on the charts and the technicals, but on the fundamentals as well, and then talk about what can continue to happen in the crypto markets because I have a little bit of a hot take in today's episode here. So without further ado, if you like the content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and if you really like it, then leave us a comment down below or maybe check out some of the links in the description. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on in here. Now, as you can see on my screen here, Bitcoin has seen an increase in volatility, which is pretty impressive because over the past couple of weeks, we have seen Bitcoin go from $100,000 all the way down to around 78,000. Then it recovered up to 95,000, then came back down to 80,000, then back up to 93,000, and then just today, it came all the way down to $75,000, which marks a new swing low. And the lowest point that we have seen Bitcoin since, I think this is the beginning of November. Yeah, around November 9th of 2024. So what this means is that there are these really big swings of anywhere from like 20 to 25% here on Bitcoin, up and down and up and down. And what this has been doing is it has been liquidating everybody. Bulls, bears, long, shorts. I mean, heck, just about everyone is getting liquidated inside of this range. And what I saw was that, just the other day, we had $1 billion in liquidations on Bitcoin from some of these moves. Now, what is the result of this? What can we kind of tell here? And I'm going to add some of my moving averages on the chart, such as the 20-day, which is this blue line, the 50-day, which is this pink or red line, and then the 200-day, which is this yellow line. And what we can see here is that pressure is still kind of continuing to build towards the downside on Bitcoin. Now, I think this article does a really good job of kind of just simply explaining what's happening here in the market, saying, hey, Bitcoin's sliding back beneath 80K, Ethereum's falling to near year-and-a-half lows, near $1,800. And the overall theme is that, not just Bitcoin, but altcoins are both being affected here, right? We're seeing a little bit of a downturn in both Bitcoin and altcoins alike. Now, today, Bitcoin and altcoins are doing quite well. And, I've actually been pretty impressed with the crypto markets here over the last week because Bitcoin and most cryptos actually have been outperforming the stock market. Now, for people who don't know, we've been covering this for a while, but it's not just the crypto market that is getting hit here. You look at the traditionals, the stocks, you look at some of the yields, you look at the oil markets, you name it. Like everything that can be associated with risk. In fact, even some of those like lower risk or risk off investments, even they've been affected by this kind of downturn that has been pretty much across the board over here. And what we've seen in recent days is that Bitcoin has been outperforming lead indices such as NASDAQ. If we go and we actually take a look at this, we've had a couple of nasty days here. I mean, just yesterday, NASDAQ was down at one point almost 5%. It ended the day at almost 3.9% to the downside. And what we saw on Bitcoin is that Bitcoin was only down around 2.6 to 2.7% yesterday. So again, an even more red day, a worse day for what we're seeing in the indices in comparison with Bitcoin. Well, we're continuing to see the same thing today as the indices such as NASDAQ is up around 0.2%, while Bitcoin is up 5%, Ethereum is up 4%, and Solana is up almost 7% alongside XRP, which is up 7%. So what does this mean? Well, we are starting to see a little bit of independency come out here from the crypto market. Not only are they behaving in a little bit of a different way from the traditionals, or I guess not only are they doing that, but they are also outperforming them on a lot of these days that we've seen here recently. Now, not every day. Again, this isn't something that is 100% accurate at the moment, but in recent days, that is something that I've started to notice as we've seen over the last 48 hours with Bitcoin outperforming the markets on Monday, and it looks like it's going to do it pretty heavily here on Tuesday, March 11th. Now, why am I bringing this up? Well, at a time where all the markets are hurting, I do like to see Bitcoin, and even on a daily today, altcoins outperform the traditional markets. I think that there is a lot of FUD that has been out there. There's been a lot of collateral damage affecting the crypto markets. And it just doesn't completely make sense as to why this is happening, especially when you look at the long list of positive catalysts that are happening there behind the scenes. We covered just the other week about people that were buying all these different crypto stocks, and we're continuing to see this with Cathie Wood's ARK investing in around $11.5 million to buy more Coinbase shares. This is a big deal. Coinbase is one of the few publicly traded crypto companies in the US. They're very big, one of the largest exchanges. And here we have ARK Investments saying, hey, we're going to buy another $11.5 million worth of Coinbase stock because we think that this is undervalued. And on top of this, I wanted to just share a few other catalysts that I wrote down on my side monitor, such as the Binance lawsuit being dropped, the Coinbase lawsuit being dropped, the Kraken lawsuit, Uniswap, Robinhood, Gemini, Yuga Labs, OpenSea, and so many other major lawsuits against significant crypto companies all being dropped. So to repeat that list, the lawsuits for Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, Uniswap, Robinhood, Gemini, Yuga Labs, and OpenSea have all been dropped. Now, that's just with the SEC. Other stuff that we've seen here in recent weeks during that same time period are along the lines of the U.S. announcing the official formation of the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. The U.S. is no longer going to be selling off Bitcoin, which is a big deal. They had at one point 400,000 Bitcoin. Now they're down to about 200,000 Bitcoin because they've sold off nearly half of its reserve. The US came out and said, hey, we're creating this Bitcoin reserve. We're done selling Bitcoin. We're ending Operation Choke Point 2.0. And now we have dozens of states that have all applied for state level, not federal level, but state level crypto strategic reserves as well. So what we're seeing here is, again, a handful, that might even be an understatement, a plethora of positive catalysts for the crypto markets, yet prices have been falling due to some of the collateral damage overflowing from the traditional financial markets. And on a day like today, where the traditional financial markets are even slightly green, the crypto markets are taking off, taking advantage of it, and soaring back to the upside. Now, I think that in weeks to come, maybe not weeks, maybe months, especially in years to come, we are going to see some really astronomical things. And again, I think that the crypto market is a little bit oversold. Doesn't mean that it can't go lower. In fact, as we look at the charts over here, we know that, hey, pressure is still building to the downside. Maybe we do go a little bit lower. I think it's completely possible. However, what comes out of this dip, let's call this the tariff dip, because that's what it kind of feels like. What comes out of this tariff dip is what could arguably be one of the greatest buying opportunities in the crypto markets in a very long time. And so I'm keeping my eye out and I'm keeping my eyes open. I'm staying very open-minded about this. And this is an area where I feel very comfortable accumulating on the dip, especially when it comes to large caps and specifically like Bitcoin over here. Now, the last thing that I just wanted to bring up, because I think that this is important to keep on everyone's radar, because even if this can help maybe 10% of the people out there, I think it's worth mentioning. But I've seen this circulating around, and it's just talking about the current state of Ethereum, saying, hey, the Ethereum Foundation just deposited around $56 million or over 30,000 Ethereum to make sure that they lower their liquidation price on Maker, where they have a leveraged position open. And that means that the current worth of this wallet is around $182 million. So what they did by adding this extra $56 million into it is the Ethereum Foundation, or what's suspected to be the Ethereum Foundation, has lowered their liquidation price down to around $1,127 on Maker, which means that they're pretty far from their liquidation price. In fact, at the moment, if we go and we look at the current price of ETH, that would mean that ETH would need to fall around, I need to go down even more, but ETH would need to fall roughly another 46 to 47% to reach that liquidation price. Now, is that possible? Yeah, but I think that there's a couple things that people are misunderstanding because they're looking at this and getting really fearful. Hey, what happens if the Ethereum Foundation gets liquidated? What happens if this or if that? Well, number one, a near 50% move to the downside after what we've already seen does seem less likely. It does seem like it is not something that is going to happen. Again, anything can happen. We're in the crypto markets. Anything can always happen. However, of the likely scenarios, this doesn't seem like one that is going to happen. The other thing is that more ETH can always be added to add this drawdown even further to ensure that there is not a liquidation event. Then I think what people are not talking about is, what about the flip side of this? What about the positive? What if it goes their way and this leverage position in Ethereum start going on a tear? Well, then I think that this creates a very, very positive outcome for the Ethereum Foundation, where things are going a whole lot more positively for them. And that's something that people aren't talking about as well. Again, you see these things and people always say, hey, here is the worst case scenario about what could happen with this, and it's all theoretical. But how many people are out there saying, well, what about the opposite? What if they succeed? What if they time this perfectly or pretty well? Well, then that's where we could have all these positive catalysts, again, feeding into everything that we were mentioning earlier. And there really are a lot of positive things that are happening behind the scenes. So are we seeing some fear? Are we seeing some uncertainty and doubt? Yes. However, I always like to come on here and say, hey, keep in mind all these positive catalysts that are happening in the news. Although, the technicals and the charts are saying, hey, maybe we are going to continue to reject these moving averages. Those are all important levels to keep an eye on. Maybe we reject previous resistance zones or previous support zones. That could be something to keep an eye out on as well when it comes to Bitcoin and some of these altcoins. We don't want to look at just that. I think we need to understand what's happening in the fundamentals as well, because I think that what that does is help paint the bigger long-term picture of what could be to come. So that's going to go ahead and round us off for today's market update, everyone. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Now, if you are new here and you want to get plugged into a really great crypto community, we got a couple of great resources for you in the description down below. So you can go down there, click in, find some references that we have for Crypt Nation, or even a book that my good buddy, Mr. Bryce Paul, wrote called The Crypto Revolution. And you can get plugged in that way. So once again, thank you all for watching, and we'll see all of you at the same time, same place next week.